Welcome back. Yes. It gives me immense joy to be in your midst, in your great country, for whose people I have had a great admiration. I developed this admiration in 1971 when I was 22 years old, during your struggle for freedom, during the liberation war of Bangladesh. I used to follow closely what was happening here. My interactions with a Bengali colleague of mine at that time developed in me a great love for your language, literature, art and culture. I learnt by heart the first two lines of a song of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, which was later adopted as your national anthem. Though 46 years have passed since I learnt them, they have gone so deep into my consciousness that I can recite them even now without difficulty. Never did I imagine those days when I used to read, hear and speak about the birth of your great nation, that one day I would land in Dhaka and address an august assembly of the learned advocates of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, as it has happened today, thanks to the initiative taken by Mr. Samarendranath Goswami, whom I would like to thank very profusely at the outset. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I have been very eagerly looking forward to this exciting moment of standing before you and speaking to you. I indeed feel privileged and honored to be a faculty for this program organized by the Bangladesh International Mediation Society. The topic of this session, namely prevention and resolution of conflicts. I hear some conversations. Something is going on? No. The importance of this session, namely prevention and resolution of conflicts, cannot be overemphasized. The great physicist and Nobel laureate Albert Einstein was once asked, why is it that when the mind of man has stretched so far as to discover the structure of the atom, the same man has been unable to bring about world peace? I hope the question is clear. Man is so intelligent that he was able to discover the structure of the atom, he was able to split the atom, he was able to make the atom bomb, but the same man has been unable to bring about world peace. What is the reason? He was asked. Back came the reply from Einstein, Dr. Einstein. He said, that is simple, my friend. It is because politics is far more complicated than physics. Politics is far more complicated than physics. Yes, prevention and resolution of conflicts is a difficult and complicated subject. But nevertheless, it is possible. It is possible to prevent conflicts. It is possible to resolve conflicts if only we understand three important aspects of conflict, namely, number one, the root cause of conflict, and number two, the mindset which creates conflict, and three, the mindset that prevents and resolves conflicts. One is the root cause of conflict, the mindset which creates conflict, and the mindset that prevents and resolves conflict. Unaccepted and are unappreciated differences lead to disagreements. I'm addressing the first point, namely the root cause of conflict. Unaccepted and are unappreciated differences lead to disagreements. Disagreement unresolved becomes a dispute, and dispute unresolved becomes a conflict. So from differences, unappreciated lead to disagreements, disagreements go to dispute, and dispute evolve into conflicts. This is how differences evolve into conflicts. As unaccepted or unappreciated differences lead to disagreements. As unresolved disagreements result in disputes. And as unresolved disputes evolve into conflicts, can we say that the root cause of conflict is the inability to accept and appreciate the differences? In my sessions, one request, please feel free to put questions. Feel free to dispute with what I am saying. Suppose what I am saying is not acceptable, please question me. That will don't carry it in your mind. Maybe what you had understood was not what I meant. You are creating an opportunity for me to communicate more clearly. Or you have an important point to drive home, which will benefit all of us, including me. So the root cause of conflict is our inability to accept and appreciate the differences. See, life comprises of several differences between and among people, groups and nations. Life comprises of several differences between and among people, groups and nations. There are and differences are a reality, we cannot avoid them. There is this morning our chief guest Dr. Mizanur Rahman was mentioning that in thinking also it is geographical. So each one is different from the other. There is nothing wrong in that. So there are cultural differences, personality differences, differences of opinion, situational differences, etc. So differences are a reality, we cannot avoid them. So if we cannot avoid them, we have to accept them, isn't it? Whatever we cannot avoid, we are left with no choice than accept. And in a sense, this diversity is really good. Suppose all the people on this earth where each one is same as the other, life would be boring, isn't it? Life is interesting because one is different from the other. And if this difference we are able to appreciate, then the root cause of the conflict is at rest. So when we are able to appreciate and accept the behavior or the context or the language or the style or the dress of the other people, we are preventing it at that stage from evolving into a disagreement. As all of you may know, learning generally is of three types. One is scholastic learning, which we underwent in schools and colleges, where we learnt by reading textbooks and by listening to lectures. The other is intuitive learning, where a person learns from intuition. And the third is experiential learning, where a person learns from one's own experience. Experience is the only source of knowledge, said Swami Vivekananda. But experiential learning is very, very expensive. Every time a person learns from his own or her own experience, he would have already paid a very heavy price for that. For example, somebody starts a new business, makes a lot of investments into that business, and after 2 years he loses all the money and then says, I have now learned how not to run a business. Somebody keeps his finger on fire and then says, I have now learned that fire burns. If you and I are not keeping our fingers on fire, it is because somebody burnt his fingers and passed on that lesson to us. That is why we know. So experience is the source of knowledge. Now in my sessions, a considerable part will be devoted to experiential learning. But don't be scared. You will not have to pay any price in terms of mental agony, pain, suffering or loss, because these are simulated experiences developed through well-designed activities. On the one hand, you will not undergo any pain or suffering or loss. On the other hand, they will be fun-filled and you will enjoy. And at the same time, the quality, the value of learning from these simulated experiences will be equal to that of learning from real-life experiences. Because what you will undergo now are also real-life experiences. The only difference is that these are simulated by well-designed activities. So now from an activity, we will learn about appreciating the differences. You will now receive a paper. Each one of you will, one second, I will explain. Each one of you will receive this paper. in which there is a picture on the top, and beneath that there is a question on the picture, and 4 answers are given. A few of you who had attended my last session would know this activity, so my humble request to them is not to reveal the answers to other people. Then the whole fun is lost. So those who had already attended, keep the paper with you and just watch the fun. Don't reveal anything to the new participants. So there is a question and 4 answers are given. The question is about a possibility with regard to the position of a circle engraved in this cube. It is a transparent cube. You can assume it is a glass cube. A circle is engraved on it. With regard to the position of that circle on the cube, 4 answers are given. And these 4 answers are the 4 possibilities. Whichever possibility you think is there, you may tick mark. Because it is a time-bound activity and everyone should get equal time, I will distribute the paper with the blank side on the top. Please don't turn and see the other side until I say start. I will say start once all of you have received the papers. You may distribute. When I say start, you can start. You can give a bunch and ask them to take one and keep passing. So that will save the time. You give a bunch. You give a bunch. Take one and keep passing. Here also you can give a bunch.
Yeah, I've taken all. Thank you. Then
instead of one each, you give a bunch. Request them to take one and keep passing. That will happen fast. Give a bunch and ask them to take one. You can give it to the older participants also. Only thing is, let them not reveal it. Yeah, please give it to everyone. Give it to everyone. All of you have received?
Yep.
All of you have received? So now you have to turn the page, look at the picture, read the question, and tick mark the right answers or the right answer. And it has to be your opinion, so don't look into what your neighbor is tick marking. Don't look into what your neighbor is tick marking. There is no right or wrong answer here, it is about your perception. Please tick mark the right answer or the right answers. Please give one copy to Mr. Ghosh. Please tick mark the right answer or the right answers. Please don't look at your neighbor's answers. No, you keep it with you. Keep it with you. I'll give you 10 more seconds. How many of you got the first answer as the right answer? If you don't mind, please raise your hands. First answer. First as right answer, raise your hands. Thank you. How many got the second as right? Please raise your hands. How many got the third as right? Please raise your hands. Third answer.
third answer. You answered all.
How many got the fourth as right? Please raise your hands. So how many got all the 4 as right? Please raise your hands.
He has answered all the 4.
All the 4, yes. So please give them.
No one.
No, none. Okay.
Yeah.
So all those who got all the 4 as right, please give them a big hand. That's the right answer.
Where is the right answer?
Yeah. Now, those who have rejected,
I failed.
yeah, excuse me, a majority of you got only one answer as right. Yeah, is there anyone who got two answers as right? You got two. Okay. How many got three as right? Three answers as right. I'm not talking about the third. Totally three. None. Okay. So, three got four answers as right. Two got two answers as right. All the others have got, except you, one answer as right, and you got none as right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all the answers are right. I request you to look at the answers that you have rejected and see the picture from that perspective and see whether you are able to accept it now. If you are not able to accept, you call me, I will explain. In the meantime, I will draw it on the board. See, there are two squares. You can call them as A, B, C, D and A1, B1, C1, D1. Broadly, there are two possibilities. One is A, B, C, D as the front panel and A1, B1, C1, D1 as the back panel. Another is the reverse. A1, B1, C1, D1 as the front panel and A, B, C, D as the back panel. Then there are two positions with regard to a circle. One is in the corner and the other is in the center. So from this perspective, if you see, you will be able to accept the answers which you have rejected. But still, if you have any doubt, I will explain. And also, your neighbor would have accepted another answer which you have not accepted. For example, you have chosen first as right. You have chosen second as right. You can explain to him why you chose second as right. And you can explain to him why first as right. So that both of you will be able to accept it. Can you do that? And still, if you are not able to accept, feel free to call me.
What about him?
Yeah, I will come to that. First I will resolve this and then I will, because this has come for the first time, so that there will be something different I have to discuss. First I will address the majority issue. Are you able to accept these three now? If you are not able to accept, yeah. See, now what is this? At the center of the front panel. Now, if you see, take this as the front panel, it is at the center. And this becomes a back panel. See, the cube is kept in different positions. Are you able to accept it? See, if this is the front panel, it is in the center. In which case, this is the side panel and this is the back panel. Because it is a transparent cube, glass cube. This is how you can look at it. Suppose it is an opaque medium, like this wood or something, it is a different thing. Now, what is the third one? At the lower right hand corner of the front panel. If this is the front panel, then it is. This is the lower, and this becomes the back panel. So it is from different perspectives. Could you get it? Could you convince him of your answer? You have convinced him of your answer, yes? Is there anyone who is still not? Feel free to tell me if you are not able to accept any answer. Huh?
One dispute here.
One dispute I will come.
Last one is half.
That you have accepted. Second also you have accepted.
You look at it, and you
Third.
it looks like this is the first part. Each one of those is the box scores. If you look at it,
See, at the lower right hand corner, right?
But I don't see how
If this is the front panel,
center of the back panel. If you
yes,
look at
yeah,
this,
suppose this is the front panel, this becomes the side panel, and this becomes the back panel. So it is on the, it is like this. You have to put your eyes in that position and see, because it is a transparent glass cube.
this is the
How it is kept on the in a position, it can be kept horizontally like this in a slanting angle. So you look at it from that angle. This is the front panel.
center of the back panel.
And this center of the back panel. If this is the back panel, this is the center. And this is the front panel. That is why I said broadly two possibilities. This is front panel.
No, I always consider this is front.
Oh,
This is back.
Ah,
That's way I consider.
Now anyone else who is not able to accept it? All of you have accepted? Please feel free to tell me if you are not able to accept any answer. You have got all the four. You accept. Excuse me? Yes, accepted. Yes, accepted. Yeah. Now I will come to your question. None of the answers are right. The reason?
He's telling that nothing is permanent.
I have not meant to that none is the correct answer. I have just meant that the right to putting the correct answer or answers includes right not to putting the.
So you decided
He has
not
different
to.
view.
See, yeah, actually there is a very valid point in what he says. Because only one of them is really existing. That is why I qualified the question statement by saying the possibilities. There are four possibilities, but only one really exists. You get my point? If you take the glass cube, if the glass cube has a circle engraved in any of the four manner, a single line diagram can be drawn only like this. That is the point. Anyway, excuse me. Let us be together, only then it will be interesting. So the point is that only one is possible. We are talking about which are all the possibilities. These are the four possibilities, because for any of the possibilities, if you have to draw a diagram, it would look like only this, like this. All of you agree with me? All of you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we will come to the learning. See, all of you belong to the same location, similar profession, similar age group, somewhat similar family background, educational background, career background, etc. But on a simple question, there were so many answers. A few of you said first is right, a few of you said second is right, a few said third is right, a few said fourth is right, and two said two answers are right, and three said four answers are right. So what does this convey? I request you to feel free to answer.
Differentiation. Differentiation of thinking and looking.
Outlooking.
Beautiful point, yes. So there is a differentiation. There are different perspectives. And one more answer I forgot to mention. Someone chose not to choose any answer.
That is also,
that is also
an aspect.
Perception.
Yeah, that's. So each one, and he had his own reason for not choosing.
Yes.
So each one has a different perspective. And these perspectives we have developed unknowingly, right from the impressions that we carried in the minds, right from younger days. That is why this morning now the Chief Guest beautifully said even thinking is geographical. For example, when I conduct these activities mostly in South India, I have noticed that majority of them would say first answer is right. Whereas in Dhaka, last time as well as this time, the first answer was not the majority. So, there are deep impressions in our mind. Based on that, we come to judgments, we come to decisions. we decide only this is possible, that is not. So what does that convey? Because of, see now, someone said 1 is right, someone said 2 is right, someone is 3. Now all of you have agreed all the 4 are right. I am talking based on that assumption, right? But why we could not see all the 4 as right initially is because we have different perspectives. Yes. Okay. Now from that there is another learning. I said that this is because of some impression already created in the mind during younger days. So that conveys something important about our viewpoint. What is that? See, there is no wrong answer in this workshop. It is not a mathematics class where there is a wrong answer and a right answer. Suppose you say something which was not in my mind, it is not a wrong answer. It is another perspective. So feel free to speak out. Yes. So what does that convey?
It conveys that one should not impose something upon any other person in respect of resolving any dispute by this mediation or any other means.
Yeah. The reason being, yeah, that is true. I hope all of you heard what. And the reason for that is our views are generally prejudiced.
Yeah.
It is because of a past impression. The past impression may not be relevant for the present situation. Something like this article seen some time ago and some impression was created. But this is different. Like Inba Vijayan was telling a little while ago, he said at one stage, as lawyers have a handicap because you are likely to look at mediation also like a legal profession. So unlearning is more difficult than learning. So when a person plays the role of a mediator, he has to forget that he is not a lawyer anymore. Otherwise that becomes a prejudice. Not that law is a prejudice. That is why there is a saying, a funny saying, ignorance is a bliss. Sometimes ignorance is a bliss because one has an open mind. On this, there is an interesting episode I will present now. How one's past starts interfering with the present experience. An experience is presented here, just read it. Reflect on this. A passenger tapped the cab driver to ask a question. You are traveling in a cab. Sometimes, we want to ask, softly tap. The cab driver lost control of the cab, nearly hit another car, missed another truck, went off the road into a curb and stopped inches from a shop. For a minute there was silence. You scared me to death, the driver screamed. Are you not surprised over this? Yes. See, sometimes driver we softly ask a question, just he had not hit or anything. For that he got scared and created such a scene. The passenger apologized and said, I did not know that gently tapping your back could create such a panic. The driver replied, sorry, it is not your mistake. Today is my first day as a cab driver. For the last 10 years, I have been ferrying dead bodies in a van. So if he was ferrying dead bodies in a van, a corpse is patting his back, naturally he would get scared. So that is what. See, for 10 years he was ferrying dead bodies in a van. Today he is driving a cab. So today what is behind is not a dead body, a living human being. That one should remind oneself, isn't it? Can you see how his past shaped the present? Our experiences are influenced by the past. So one has to be consciously aware. One has to be present in what is and not allow the past to shape the present. To be present in every moment is very important. This experience could be very different from the experience I had yesterday. This is taken from a book of Swami Sukhabodhananda. Any other learning from this? Now you got some answer as the right first. Now you have understood, first you came to some impression that the others were wrong. So now you have understood others are also right. So from that there is a learning about our perspective. Can you say what is that? The first time we look at something, we get into some impression, and later we realize that that impression was not correct, right or wrong?
Yeah.
For example, you met a person, let's say your colleague for the first day. On the first day, you formed some opinion about him. And after 2 weeks, you changed your opinion about him. Has it not happened to you?
Yes, generally happen.
Generally. So, first time you formed an opinion, after 2 weeks, your opinion about him has totally changed. First impression is the best impression, there's a saying. So, if I have to impress somebody, the first time if I impress him well, I am at an advantage. That is the meaning. But first impression need not be the right impression. First impression is the best impression, but first impression need not be the right impression. Because that impression is created because of a past experience, which is not relevant for the present. We have to learn principles from experiences, but the same event may not be unfolding again and again. It will be a different event. This has got a lot of learnings, so I will share this with you. We will read together. Please take one and keep passing. Take one and keep passing. Give me also. Give me one. I think copies. The last time also all of you got the paper, isn't it? There was no shortage, isn't it? Everyone got it?
Yes.
All of you have got it?
Yes.
I think she has not got it. Yeah, there. Okay. So we will read together. Thank you. The first way we look at something is not always the only or the best way. Isn't it?
Yes.
The first way we look at something is not always the only or the best way. The more ways we can view a situation, the more possibilities we will discover and the more creative we can be. Yeah. Beware of expecting others to see what you see. See, this is a very important point. This is the reason why there is a dispute. There is a situation, you are able to see something, but the other party is not seeing that, he is seeing something else. You would have seen two parties arguing with each other. One tells the other, can't you see? He asks, can't you see? But the fact is, the man who is asking, can't you see, he is also not able to see what the other person is seeing. When I am asking you, can't you see, I should realize that I am also not able to see what you are seeing. So each one has a window on the world. I look at the world through my window, you look at the world through your window, you look at the world through your window, because through your window when you saw, nothing was right. When he saw through his window, first was right. Through your window, second answer was right. Something is happening on the road, I go and give a report. You go and see it, you give another report. He goes and sees another report. So each one has a unique window on the world. Each one has a unique perspective. So we need to appreciate the perspective of the other persons. That is why both Inba Vijayan and Morning, the chief guest, they mentioned, they emphasized the mediator has to be a good listener. And how do I get to the viewpoint of the other person? Only if I listen. Only if I hear, I cannot understand. Only if I listen. So beware of expecting others to see what you see. So we have to enable the other person to see what I am seeing. Then I may be able to make him accept my point of view. Understand your unique window on the world. That is what I said now. Your view is subjective, partial, and likely to be distorted. It's a very harsh statement. It doesn't mean that we are bad or anything. Our view is subjective, partial, and likely to be distorted for the same reason, the past experience. Like I was ferrying dead bodies for 10 years. So today also I think that there is a dead body behind when there is a human being. For that I will tell you a real life incident. As I said earlier, I started my career in 1971, the year in which Bangladesh was born. It was the Indian Space Research Organization. And on the first day I joined duty, my immediate boss told me that his boss his boss was my top boss, had a prejudice about me, and so advised me to be careful with him. Then I asked him, how can he have a prejudice about me? Because this is my first day in the organization. He has not seen me, nor has he seen me. No, it is not about seeing. It is something else. For your interest, I am telling, be careful. Okay, I will be careful. But if you tell me the reason why he is prejudiced, I can be suitably careful. Then he said, there was a person by name Sharma in this department. And he was a very, very difficult person to deal with. He made the life of my boss miserable. And he had many sleepless nights because of that Sharma. Only 2 months ago he submitted his resignation, and a month ago he got relieved from service. So last 1 month my boss is having peace of mind and having a good sleep. 1 week ago a letter came from the personal department, what we call HR today, those days was called personal department, saying that another Sharma is joining your department. The moment he saw, his BP went up and he called me and shouted, this personal department is particularly taking vengeance upon me. Why are they sending one Sharma after the another to take life out of me? Because a person by the name Sharma made his life miserable. He came to the conclusion that anybody with a surname Sharma
may injure him.
So I was very careful with him, and then after a week or two he realized that a person with a surname Sharma can also be a good person. And we had a very good, excellent relationship, and you will not believe, in the government department, which is not possible, happened for me. On completion of 1 year of probation, he gave me 5 extra increments because of his excitement that a Sharma can also be a good person. Opinions are not right or wrong, they are only points of view. See, this we need to appreciate. As I am entitled to my opinion, you are also entitled to your opinion. See, this is a table, is a fact. This table looks good. It doesn't look good. They are only opinions, points of view. So opinions are not right or wrong, they are only point of view. This is your point of view. This looks beautiful, is my point of view. Your view is it doesn't look beautiful. So it is another point of view. So that we need to appreciate. Beware of making assumptions about people's intentions. See, what happens is, again, because of a past experience, when somebody
Like
tells...
Sharma.
Like this Sharma case, we immediately come to, for example, somebody cheated you 1 year ago. And the man who cheated you opened the talk in a particular manner. Today you are meeting another person, he is also opening the talk in the same manner. Immediately you are reminded of that person who cheated you 1 year ago, and you get prejudiced. Oh, he must be a thief. He has come to cheat me. For this, I will again present another slide. This story, the name of the story is The Pig and the Bitch. Okay. This is also about driving incident. Okay. Mohan was driving fast on an upcountry road. And as he was approaching the curve to the left, there appeared a red Maruti Alto. In India, this Maruti Alto is a famous popular vehicle. It's a small segment car. It had come too suddenly out of the curve, and he noticed that it was in trouble. The driver seemed to have lost control. The small car first appeared on the left, and in the split of a second it swerved to the right to be tossed again to the left towards him. He brought his left tires down onto the mud road beyond the tar surface to avoid being hit by the Maruti when he noticed that the driver was a lady. As the car drew near him, she put her bob-cut head out, her face looked terrible, and she shrieked a lipstick-coated word, pig. See, he was going up, the lady was coming down. She went left, so he moved to the right. Then she moved right. So finally, she came to his left so close. So to avoid being hit by the car, he went beyond the tar surface on the mud surface and saved being hit. For that, that lady driver should thank him, isn't it? Am I right?
Yeah.
But instead, she called him pig. Why did the lady shriek at Mohan? Now, next scene. Mohan thought in response to the shout. He could not take abuses like that without reacting in like manner. made of sterner stuff. He always believed that things like that should be paid back with interest. Before the Maruti Alto passed by, he in turn put his head out and with a terrible expression on his face shouted bitch before she was not too far to hear. Because this generally happens, somebody tells us something bad, abuses us. If we get a good idea to give the abuse back, we feel happy. I gave him a back. Suppose we get the idea after 1 hour. See, this is how I should have replied. So he got an idea immediately. She called him pig, so he called her bitch. Why did Mohan shout at the lady driver? Now the next slide is going to be very interesting. So before that, I want to know whether everyone has understood the situation. You understood the situation, isn't it? She was very unfair. She shouted at him still as pig, and he shouted back as bitch. Now you see the situation. Mohan felt a sort of satisfaction at having given the lady what she richly deserved. That is what happens, If we give back to the other person the same coin, we feel happy. It was in equal measure and equally spontaneous. By the time he took his head in and brought the left tires on the tarred surface, he was already at the curve. As he turned the wheel sharp to the left and was negotiating the curve, he hit a huge pig with the left of the bumper. The pig fell and the car's left wheel jumped up with a thud and the hind left wheel followed to do the same. The pig squealed, and as Mohan's ears were pierced by it, he remembered the bob-cut-haired, lipstick-coated lady and the expression on her face. Why Mohan did not receive the warning communication in its right sense? Is it clear? Again, it's a prejudice. Probably Mohan had a bad experience with a bob-cut-haired, lipstick-coated lady driver on an earlier occasion. So he had come to the conclusion, any bob-cut-haired lipstick-coated lady driver would be an arrogant person. See, there was not enough time for that poor lady to tell him there is a huge pig, so don't go left. So she shortly said pig. So instead of understanding the warning communication, he mistook that she was calling him pig and he called her back bitch. And as a result, he paid the price for that. So that is what it says. Beware of making assumptions about people's intentions. Explore different perspectives for richer solutions. In fact, that orange story morning was an example of that. The three perspectives were seen. So, and as a result, we could see what is the best perspective. What one needs is the peel, and what the other needs is the fruit, the pulp. Seek to understand rather than to change others. This is a very, very important point, which will be very helpful for us in all walks of life, even at home, even with our children, parents, siblings, anybody. Seek to understand rather than to change others. See, generally, because we are judgmental, we have a notion, this is only right and that is wrong. So we try to correct the other person and change his viewpoint. And as a result, there is a conflict. So before trying to change the other person, we need to understand the other person. Yes. We should pay attention to why is he saying so, what is the reason, what is his perspective. And if you do that many times, you will realize that there is no need for me to change him. I only need to change my approach to him. I will again give another example from my career. I had a long career with an engineering company in India called Battery Boy Limited. And I had a great time with all my top bosses, except during 1985 to 89. One particular general manager had a lot of problem. So much so I even thought of resigning the job. But my colleagues told me, see, all your earlier bosses, they were professional managers and you are also a professional, so you had a good time. This man is very unprofessional. Same problem he has with many other people. So what to do? We had to put up with him. So I was always thinking that I am right, he is wrong. That is why I am having a problem. I am good, that is why all his predecessors had appreciation for me. But after reading a few books, I came to the conclusion, it is not because he is bad. It is because I have failed to understand him. The biggest mistake I committed was, I was dealing with him in the same manner in which I was dealing with his predecessors. He is a different person. If only I had paid some attention to understand his approach and talk to him in that manner, my 4 years would have been a happy years. Otherwise, out of this 26 years of career in that, 22 years were happy, 4 years were a problem because of that. This I realized because I found that some managers had a happy time with him. Then I asked myself, how are they able to deal with him? And by the time I realized that the fault was mine, he was transferred. Okay. So it was late. So seek to understand rather than to change others. So before I go to the next point with regard to the root cause of conflict, on this anything you would like to add or say, please feel free to speak.
Yeah, I have a question. I would like to know from you that everyone generally by birth prejudicial. And from your lecture it is clear that no one should be prejudicial in respect of reaching the right judgment.
Yes.
But sometimes it is necessary for a human being to judge the situation for which he can do something carefully. In respect of carefulness, can we judge something though it may be prejudicial?
Yeah, it's a very valid point. See, one is, by birth a person may not be prejudiced. It is by the upbringing. That is why William Wordsworth said, child is father of the man. Child is father of the man. So whatever impressions I have got right from my younger days, has molded my personality. For example, I remember once in 1969 I was asked, why are you Sharma like this? Because there was a situation when I had to tell a small lie. I said, I will not tell a lie, I will tell you. And he said, Sharma, why are you like this? And without thinking, my answer came. I said, because I was brought up like that. Then many times I wondered how spontaneously I was able to answer, because truth is far more powerful than untruth. So I was brought up. So each one is brought up in an environment, and that is our personality. Now coming back to the other question, it is not about judgment, it is about decision. See, it is said in management that a quick wrong decision is better than a delayed right decision. Because when we delay, the purpose will not be served. This morning our chief guest beautifully mentioned, if justice is delayed, what we are denying is the human dignity, which is of paramount importance. So a decision has to be taken. A decision and judgment are very different. Judgment is about saying that you are right, you are wrong, you are good, you are bad. That I should not say. But decision is, what should I do? Whether I should go in this direction or this direction.
That was the point.
That is taking into account the information available with me at the moment and taking a...
And that information may not be correct.
May not be correct. Sometimes may not be, because to err is human. But that error can be reduced if a person has a clearly defined goal. See, if a person has some criteria as to make decisions. For example, there is a question before me, whether I should do this or do that. If I am a person with a clear vision, a clear goal, one question, one acid test is, I can ask myself, which will take me to my goal? Going this way or this way? So a person who has a clearly defined goal will be able to take right decisions on most of the occasions. It is so very much in the case of mediation. Many times the parties involved are not aware of their interests and they are focusing on their positions, as the chief guest was mentioning, even that orange story. So what is the interest? That is becoming aware of what one really wants. The moment I know what I really want, I will get it, because my decisions will be. That is why Ralph Waldo Emerson, the wisest man America had ever produced, said, beware of what you want, for you will get it. Beware of what you want, for you will get it. Thank you for the good question. Anyone else would like to say anything? Then I will go to the next aspect. So one is appreciating another's viewpoint. The next is when the behavior of the other person is not acceptable. The manner in which we respond many times doesn't bring about a positive change in the other person. Only the relationship gets strained and there is a lot of heartburn. Right or wrong? Suppose you have let us say, a junior colleague. He conducts the same mistake again and again. You are also shouting at him every day. He's not changing, and you are also not giving up shouting. It goes on, right or not?
Yes, it may be.
It
No,
happens.
in that case,
It happens.
It happens. In that case, I'll have to try to, I'll have to counsel him to make a rectification.
Exactly.
I'll have to do it.
Yes.
If I don't do it, I'm not a good leader.
Yes.
I will have to do
this
it.
may be happened.
Yeah. What
But
I'm saying is generally this happens.
It happens.
I'm trying to explain the situation. I'm not saying that
Oh, I
anyone
see.
particularly is doing. So when the other see in life, we meet lot of unfair people. So when we meet an unfair person, if I know how to deal with him, no harm will come to me. See, whether good comes to me or bad comes to me doesn't depend upon the other person. It depends upon how I deal with him. Even a bad person can be made to be good with me. Even a good person can be made to be bad with me. So it is all in my hands, in a sense. No, there's a story you might have heard. No, a great saint was there who was able to see the future and answer any question. So somebody wanted to play a trick with him. So he carried with him a bird in his hand, and it's a small bird within the hand. So he asked the saint, see, you can say everything rightly, you tell me whether this bird is alive or dead. What he had planned was, if the saint says it is alive, he will kill. He will kill it, process it. If he says it is dead, he will release it. So the saint answered, whether it is alive or dead is in your hands.
Yeah.
It is your decision. So in the same manner, whether harm will come to me or good will come to me is in my hands. Okay. So that we will learn again through a concept of experiential learning. I am going to do a little bit of acting. I am not a great actor, so unless you observe me carefully, you will not understand what I intend to convey with the acting. Then I will ask a question on my acting, you will answer. It is only for 1 minute, so I am going to act here. It has to be done at a door, so I will do it here. So the acting starts now. Acting is here. What was I doing?
You are looking for somebody who is
You are eagerly waiting for somebody.
Waiting for somebody.
somebody. And your time is very. Missionary taking to.
Okay. Yeah, without pressing it. Yeah, any others? Yeah, anything else?
Anxiety.
Whatever you saw, you can feel free to speak. Yes.
You had anxiety in your mind.
Anxiety.
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 Yeah.
Anxiety. Then, anything else you want to say? Feel free to say.
Somebody was supposed to meet you in time,
Uh,
and you failed to meet in time, and you are waiting for him.
somebody is late.
Somebody is late.
Okay, Sharma's girlfriend.
Maybe that is a
$1
good.
million question.
And the importance of the work might be the importance of the job.
Importance.
If somebody failed to meet the time, then you lost something great.
Oh.
That's why you are looking so worried.
That is Anjit.
Situation. Important, urgent. Huh?
Yeah.
Otherwise, the loss would be severe. Yes.
Yeah.
Then.
Mr. Sharma is waiting for his girlfriend while he is also fearing that his wife may turn up.
So if somebody is.
It's a value addition.
Good. Date. Wife expected. Isn't it? The Parkinson's law. Then anything else?
Your activity shows that you are very much in tension. You are going
Tense.
to lose something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Tense then.
Yeah.
Tense. Fearing to lose something.
Yeah.
Now, another question. The board is so small, so I'll write here. Now another question. What did you see?
All these things we saw.
No. Have a fresh look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget these answers.
Forget it.
What did you see?
Time.
What did you see?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly what did you see? You forget those answers. Don't be prejudiced by those answers. Now have a fresh. What did you see?
Dr.
Ignorance.
Sharma's activity
Activity. What was that activity?
was just distrust.
That is what
Oh,
is
that
mentioned
comes
here.
under.
Yeah. So I'm saying.
Okay. I can give an answer.
Yeah, that is another thing. Okay, distance.
Mr. Sharma, I realized that can be considered as seeing.
Mm.
That is, I realized ignorance.
Ignorance.
Yeah, what you are
Uh,
doing or waiting or you are tensed
Yeah.
is unknown to me. That's why I was
okay.
I was realizing from my perspective that I am unknown to your activity.
I am able to see a beauty in your response because about that cube what you said and what you are saying here, I think that is a good characteristic of a judge.
I saw one thing, another
Yeah.
more thing.
See, in fact, that's a very valid point. What he says is ignorance, not about me.
Yeah, no.
I am ignorant. I really don't know.
Yeah.
In fact, again, for the first time in a workshop, on this question, somebody says, I don't know. So please give him a big hand for that because there is a lot of beauty in that I will explain. See, we need to learn to say, I don't know. Many times, we really don't know. But we guess something and give an answer. Right, Rama?
Yes.
That famous Acharya Rajneeshno Osho, he says somewhere in a funny manner, to the question whether God exists, the answers people give are generally wrong. Some people say God exists. Some people say God does not exist. He says the right answer for most of the people to say would be, I don't know. Really, they don't know. But simply they want to say that God exists or they want to say God does not exist, without applying their mind to really know. So if such people say I don't know, it would be more truthful. I don't know, I'm trying to know that. In fact, that is what happened to Swami Vivekananda. He was asking that, So in the same manner, probably this is a very right answer. I don't know. No, beautiful answer.
Yeah.
Once again. So first time I heard that answer. Now I am putting a different question. To answer this question is very easy. What did you see?
I saw you
Uh,
that when the time is over,
Uh.
the man who we were expecting did not come to you,
Then
then you thought that, okay, no problem, I go on my own way.
okay.
That is, you are not going to depend on
Yeah, I
one person.
decided that he would not turn up.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, he will not turn up, right?
Okay.
You can say that.
Or gave up that he would come.
Yeah.
Gave up, lost hope.
No.
Very good.
But this will not harm you.
Yeah, that is okay. But I am asking a very simple question. If a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old boy or girl was here, that child would be able to answer this question. What did you see?
Sir, we saw you going back and forth.
Beautiful. Please give him a big hand. pacing up and down. I was going up and down, isn't it? Pacing up and down. Then what else did you see? Like this. Like this you can say. What is I was going up and down? Then what are the other things you saw?
Looking at your watch.
Looked at the watch.
Opening
Yes.
the door.
Your running shot is
A
of
few
time.
times. A few